Hello and welcome. Have you ever felt completely lost? Like you're trying to find your way down a dark and confusing path? Well, in this devotional from the You Need Faith in Jesus team, we're going to turn to a really powerful passage in Psalm 119 to see how God's Word can literally be the light that guides every single one of our steps. Let's jump in.
It's a question we all ask ourselves, isn't it? When the way forward is foggy and it feels like there are dangers hiding around every corner, where do you even begin to look for direction, for safety? The psalmist, thankfully, has a profound and timeless answer for us.
And here it is, right in verse 105. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. This one beautiful verse is the foundation for everything we're talking about today. It's the idea that God's word is our ultimate guide. But what does this powerful imagery of a lamp and a light really mean for us, right here, right now?
So first up is what we're calling the declaration. This is where we're going to unpack that famous verse and see how God's word gives us two very different kinds of guidance, both of which we absolutely need.
You see, the psalmist uses two distinct metaphors here, and getting the difference is key. Think of it this way. A lamp under my feet is all about immediate guidance. It's that small circle of light right at your feet that shows you exactly where to take your very next step so you don't stumble. It's practical wisdom for the decision you have to make today. But a light under my path, well, that provides the long-range vision. It illuminates the entire journey ahead, showing you where you're ultimately going and keeping you on the right course. We need both, right? We need to know where to step next, and we need to know we're heading in the right direction.
Okay, so knowing we have this perfect guide is one thing. That's great. But actually committing to follow it, especially when life gets messy and difficult, that's something else entirely. This next section dives right into that tension between our commitment and the harsh reality we all face.
The psalmist's reaction to God's guidance isn't casual at all. In verse 106, he says, I have sworn and I will perform it. Now this is the language of a formal oath, a legally binding vow. He's not just making a pinky promise, he's making a deliberate, all-in decision to live a life of obedience. It's a powerful picture of how seriously we should take this. But what happens the moment after he makes this huge commitment?
And then, bam, reality hits. Right after making that solemn vow, in the very next verse, he cries out, I am afflicted very much. Now this is so important. His commitment didn't protect him from suffering. You could even say it might have led him straight into it. He feels crushed, and he knows he can't keep his vow in his own strength. So what does he do? He prays, quicken me, O Lord, which means revive me, breathe new life into me. And he bases his entire plea on the promises he knows are in God's word.
And this shows us this constant cycle that happens in a believer's life. Step 1, we commit to obey God. Step 2, that commitment often leads us straight into trials and affliction, which leads to step 3. That affliction brings us to our knees, where we cry out for God to revive us, to give us the strength to keep going. It's this beautiful, humbling cycle of dependence and grace.
So, if that's the cycle, how do we actually persevere? How do we stay faithful when we are in the fire of affliction? Well, that is exactly what this next section is all about.
Check out the psalmist's first move in verse 108. Even in his suffering, his first instinct is to worship. He brings the free will offerings of my mouth. We're talking spontaneous praises, heartfelt prayers. He doesn't hold back. And he gets that worship and obedience are connected, because right after his praise, he pleads, and teach me thy judgments. A heart of worship is the absolute best place to be to learn God's ways.
Then, in verse 109, he gets real about just how intense his situation is. My soul is continually in my hand. This is an old Hebrew saying that means he's living in constant, life-threatening danger. Can you imagine? Every single day, he's at risk of dying. Now, most of us would be totally focused on just surviving, but his claim is incredible. Yet do I not forget thy law. His loyalty to God is bigger than his fear of death. And this danger isn't just random bad luck. Verse 110 tells us, the wicked have laid a snare for me. His enemies are actively setting traps for him. So how did he avoid them? He tells us, yet I erred not from thy precepts. He stayed on the path. And this ties it all back to the very beginning. God's word was the lamp for his feet, shining a light on those hidden traps and keeping him safe.
So what on earth could motivate someone to keep going like this, through suffering, through constant danger, through all this opposition? The next few verses reveal the psalmist's secret weapon, his eternal perspective.
In verse 111, he makes this incredible statement about what he values most. He says, thy testimonies have I taken as an inheritance forever. He has made a conscious choice
to claim God's word as his inheritance, the thing he's going to possess forever. And why? The verse tells us exactly why. For they are the rejoicing of my heart.
This is just so profound. You have to understand, in that culture, heritage was everything. It was your family land, your status, your identity. But the psalmist basically says, you know what? I'm choosing something better. He values God's promises more than any of that temporary earthly stuff, because he's discovered that that is the source of real, lasting joy.
So, this whole journey, from declaration, through the challenge and perseverance, to the reward, it all leads to this one final, settled resolution. It's a call to a lifelong commitment.
And the final verse, 112, says it all. I have inclined mine heart to perform thy statutes alway, even until the end. To incline your heart, that means to deliberately bend your will, your desires, your whole being in the direction of obedience. It's not a passive hope. It's an active, conscious decision to set the course for your entire life. And notice, it's not a short-term thing. It's alway, even until the end.
So, what does all this mean for our path forward? Well, first, it means we can make God's word our daily lamp and our long-term light. Second, we can learn to offer up praise even when we're hurting. Third, we can decide right now to remember God's law, especially when it feels like our life is on the line. And finally, we can consciously choose God's promises as our most treasured inheritance, inclining our hearts to follow him not just for a little while, but for our entire lives.
And that really leaves us with one last personal question to think about. Have you truly inclined your heart to follow him? Not just for today, but always, all the way to the very end?
Thank you so much for joining us for this devotional from the You Need Faith in Jesus team. We truly hope this walk through Psalm 119 has encouraged you on your path today.